Good morning, everyone. It's me, Brittany. I just wanted to make a video because I haven't posted on Facebook about this, but this is kind of my way of making my official announcement. But for a while, I had suspected that Amity had autism because she's been having speech delays and she hasn't been interacting with other kids of her age in the normal way. And so I started um, getting her checked out. I've expressed my concerns to her pediatrician, and he gave me the referral um, to the Child Development Center here to get her evaluated and checked out. So it took a few months for everything to be processed, but we were we've been working with a social worker from the Child Development Center, a speech therapist, autism consultant, and we've also been working with a physical therapist for special needs kids. And Amity's made some progress, but we still needed to get her evaluated. So they called in an autism specialist. Yeah, she's got a lot to say about that. But anyway, the autism specialist came and did the official evaluation, and Amity scored in every single category in the ADOS for autism spectrum disorder. So it is official. Amity is autistic. But I pretty much already figured that anyway because I was diagnosed with it when I was 4, and um, Sean, her dad, was diagnosed with it as well, or what they called Asperger's. But in recent years, Asperger's been has become obsolete and included once again with the autism spectrum disorder. So that's neither here nor there. But either way, um, today we're going to be having a full plate. Yeah, because even though it's my day off, I don't really have a day off because at 10:45 we're going to have a speech therapist come do a home visit and try to show me some tips on how to get Amity to talk. And then at 11 we're having a social worker from the Child Development Center come and interact with her some more and teach her new things as far as coordination and fine motor skills. Her name is Sandy, and she is super super sweet. I love her. And then at 2:30 we're going to have an autism family consultant come over. And so this is going to be a pretty full plate today, but we're going to be making progress because I am bound and determined to get Amity the help, all of it she needs. And I figure at this point, staying diligent, working with her, and trying to get her back up to speed, Amity will be way better off than I was when I was diagnosed at 4. She's been diagnosed at almost 2. So at the time I was diagnosed back in 1980, 1988, 89, somewhere around there was only one doctor in the entire Rogue Valley that had any idea about what autism was. Before then, a lot of the parents of children who had autism were being sent off to mental institutions and locked away, which didn't help them. In fact, it turned them into vegetables even further. And so when autism was discovered in the late 80s, I got lucky because there was this doctor in the Rogue Valley. His name was Dr. Murdoch, and he knew right away that something was going on with me. So, Amber's, no, hey, thank you. Sorry about that. Mother's life never ends. But anyway, to get back on point, Dr. Murdoch had worked with my mom and getting me into the Child Development Center in this program that lasted for 13 months. This was kind of like a preschool before the preschool, so to speak. But I guess apparently from the pictures that my mom showed me when I was little, there was a huge difference between when I started the program and when I finished. Of course, years after the Child Development Center, I continued to work with a speech therapist until I was in the 3rd grade. And so that really helped me out a lot. But if I'm this normal now and I was diagnosed with autism mild to moderate at 4.5, then Amity being diagnosed at almost 2 and making progress before starting work with the autism family consultant and all that whole business, then I anticipate that she's going to do really well. It's just a matter of, you know, taking it from somebody who's had autism. I mean, there's no cure. I just want to shatter that illusion right now for people who have any misconceptions that autism can be cured or that therapy can make it go away. It doesn't go away. There's always something about autism that's going to stick with you if you have it. And it's not just a mental disorder, it's also in your genes, it's encoded into your DNA. Because when I was right around the time I got diagnosed, I broke my right leg, and it was just a hairline fracture, but even still, I remember that night. It was so excruciatingly painful. I remember screaming. I remember the car ride over to the hospital. I remember being laid out on the gurney in the emergency room and the doctor giving me a shot in the butt of something. And it wasn't until later that I realized that it was actually a cortisone shot, like a pain shot that that they give to numb pain in certain areas. And as soon as the doctors, now this is what my mom told me, okay? My mom was there in the emergency room with me, and the doctors looked at my file and they saw that I was recently diagnosed with autism, and they immediately started sweating bullets because they didn't want to give me anything for pain because they suspected that any type of medication, drugs, what have you, was going to be too strong for me. So my mom basically had to sign a waiver stating that the hospital wouldn't be responsible in the event of my death should I have an adverse reaction to the pain medicine they were going to give me. So turns out they only gave me half a normal dose that they would give to a normal 4-year-old child, and it knocked me out flat. And so that's pretty much how sensitive an autistic body is. It has been known to be passed down through generations. Obviously, that's the case here because both me and my ex-husband fell under the autism Asperger's category. And even though I took specially formulated prenatal vitamins to help protect Amity against that defect, they say that methylated folic acid is one of the common problems that autistics have when it comes to taking antidepressants and antipsychotic medications. For some reason, our bodies just don't process methylated folic acid very well. But anyway, despite taking those specially formulated prenatal vitamins, Amity still ended up getting it because of us, because it was in her genes, because she inherited it from us. And there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with autism. I mean, despite being bullied and made fun of all throughout my life and childhood as I was going to school as a kid, look at me now. I mean, I'm pretty much normal. You could, if you were a stranger on the street, you could pretty much call me a liar and tell me, no way, you don't have autism. Look at you, you're normal. Well, what is normal, first of all? And second of all, autism is, like I stated before, isn't just a mental disorder, it's also a genetic abnormality. Because another reason for that was because I was born 1 month premature, yes, but since my birth, 6 weeks after my actual birth, I got my first tooth. Um, by the time I was 4 years old, I had all of my adult teeth. By the time I was 15, I started getting my wisdom teeth, and the general consensus is that people don't usually get their wisdom teeth until they're in their mid-20s. So yeah, um, it's more than just a fluke here when it comes to how your body develops and how your body reacts to drugs, and how your mental processes work and how you see the world and everything in it. And it's just, yeah, it's just totally different. it's like we're not quite human, you know, because even like this, if you take a look at a strand of DNA of a normal human beings, and then you take a person who has the autism spectrum disorders DNA, it's slightly different. We have um, at least 4 to 5 more nanogroups to our DNA strand than the average human being does. Which could probably explain why we're so sensitive to pain and we're so sensitive to, you know, certain textures and everything like that, which is what Amity is. Hey, hang on a sec. No, honey, you're gonna rip the pages out. Anyway, I'm trying to keep Amity from tearing up my books. She's probably hinting that she wants me to read a story to her. So I'm going to end this in a little bit, but I'm going to finish my point first. As I was saying before, autistic people are different in a lot of ways, not just, you know, behaviorally or in their, you know, cognitive functionings, but also in our genetic compounds and how, you know, our biological processes are made up. So, it's not just a mental thing, it's also a genetic thing. So it's kind of like we're this, I don't know, like this hybrid breed of human. You know, we're not, you know, I know it sounds weird, but that's just my theory. My hope is that as I do further studies on this, as I go further in my studies in psychology, I could hopefully someday do an experiment testing my theory, you know, as far as genetics and autism spectrum disorder compared to the average human beings. And once I get my practice going and working with children and teens with some of their issues and whatever, you know, they're dealing with, I'm going to go into counseling for this, by the way. Once I start helping, you know, kids with, you know, their issues in therapy sessions, I also want to become a published author, not just telling the story of my life and everything that I've been through as a result of having autism, but some of the studies that I want to conduct as far as, you know, testing the theory of how genetics can play a role in autism spectrum disorder. So anyway, that's what's going on today. You probably felt like I gave you a university level lecture. Yeah, sorry about that. But for those of you that are watching these videos, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or opinions about this, please feel free to share, and I will gladly take a look at those. Or if you have any questions, more so, please feel free to ask me, and I'll do a video. So I love you, Facers. Wish me luck with this busy day, and I love you all. Mwah. Bye.